John.
Hey, Lauren. How you doing?
We're here.
We are here.
We did it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Things are happening.
They are.
We're here to talk about things happening.
Big things happening, like
big things. This is not just
things.
like what I had for breakfast today kind of conversation.
What did you have for breakfast today?
It seems like so long ago. I'm trying to remember. I went out for coffee with someone this morning, with a former coworker, to like a place. I don't know if you know, there are these storefronts that have coffee that they sell, and you can actually sit with another human and have coffee. So I had coffee and a chocolate croissant and company. It was so cool. Hey, Chris, we see you in the comments. Thanks for joining us.
It's so good to see you.
So happy to be here today. If you are joining us in the comments, say hello. Tell us, I don't know, what'd you have for breakfast, or how's your day going, or what's your favorite kind of potato? I don't know, whatever you want to tell us. Chris says, love the intro. Thank you, Chris. Inspired by you, actually, when we talked about me switching over to the Restream platform. So thanks. Anyway, we're glad to have you here. I'm Lauren Lefkowitz. With me is John Spears. And we didn't discuss this before, so I almost feel like we should say it in unison, but who's going to say it out loud, John?
Say what? Say that we're starting a podcast?
What? We're starting a podcast?
Yeah, we're starting a podcast. We're doing it.
Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty stoked.
And you might be like, another podcast, but let me assure you, this is not just another podcast. This is a podcast that I think you're really going to resonate with, as we resonated ourselves having these conversations.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. We've got Amanda with us too, taking a break from
Amanda.
Match. Thank you for being here. And we're glad to give you an excuse to stop. If you ever need an excuse for a break, you just let me know. I will find you something.
and Jennifer is a former colleague of mine. She's in London. Thanks for joining so late, Jennifer.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's really, really great to see you.
Yes. Awesome. So we're so glad to have you here with us. If you're just joining us, we're so excitedly announcing our podcast. That's not like other podcasts. It's when I say it out loud like that, it feels like how I don't love cats, and people are like, oh, but my cat is different. But like, it's the recognition that your cat actually is different. Yeah. So we've got a LinkedIn user, whoever you are, let us know in the comments. If you show up as LinkedIn user if you haven't given permission for LinkedIn to use your name, or for Restream to use your name. But all the talk about breakfast reminded me it's dinner time here in the UK.
What are you having for dinner?
Yeah, what are you having for dinner? Mark, hello from Japan. About to have breakfast. Potatoes are my favorite. That is a good kind of potato. I like every kind of potato. So if you tell me in the comments what kind of potato you like, I'm going to agree with you. And Dale is here. Thanks for being here. Dale is such a great supporter for me. He's comes to like all of my lives, and he and I are so like-minded in that trap of being fine mentality. And Jennifer, nice to see your face too. So John, we're starting a podcast, and we just keep saying we're starting a podcast, but let's talk about why we're starting the podcast. Oh, and we've got LinkedIn user is Jules Mason.
Hey, Jules. Jules is also a former colleague of mine, also based in the UK. Yes. And we have Tendani from South Africa on. This is like an amazing international crew that we have with us. So thanks so much.
Yes, we've got Brenda here. We've got Tendani. Hello from South Africa. It's wine o'clock over here. Great. We've got Chris from Chicago. Awesome. So amazing to have everybody here. And keep commenting. We'll keep bringing them up. We'll try to get to all of them. Thanks so much for being here. And as we're going along, just like if you're out there and you're like, I came to this because, and you have a blank to fill in, tell us what is interesting to you about this, what you want to hear about, what you want to hear us talking about. And we've got Brenda is here from North Carolina. Awesome. So John, let's talk a little bit about why. Let's talk a little bit about why this podcast feels different to us. and why we even came up with it in the first place.
Yeah. So, I don't know about the other people who are listening or even out there in the world, but I've always felt this need as a leader to fit in, to be something else, to be something other than I was. It goes beyond, being gay. It goes just there's lots of other things, executive presence, the way someone shows up, how they approach certain things, this real strong judgment of right and wrong in the world, particularly in organizations. And I always just second guess myself. And I didn't really find the space to be able to articulate this kind of internal feeling until we started talking, Lauren, and became close. And I realized, oh my God, I'm not the only one. I've been trying for so long to fit this other mold. And maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I can be completely authentic and completely vulnerable and be all of me in every part of my life and still be a kick-ass leader and still have a huge impact and lead a really fulfilling, thriving life.
Amazing. Yeah. And you were a catalyst for me too, because I think I spent a lot of my career normalizing things for other people. And when other leaders were struggling and they would come to me to talk to me about it, my goal was always to solve their problem. Right. And I sort of separated myself from it and assumed that I was supposed to be always okay, always contributing, always doing more, always being the leader. Right. And my idea of leader was there was a model to follow for always being okay, always being calm, always knowing the answer, always having the solution. And it's so much pressure. And when you and I started talking, it felt more like me too, instead of oh, that's completely normal, John, that you feel that way. Right. Mm-hmm. Or that's completely normal, Lauren, that you feel that way. It was oh, same. Right. And the more we talked about vulnerability and about fear and about meeting our own internal expectations that are unreachable, right? The perfection level that we're trying to get to is unreachable and unrealistic, and boring if you're actually living in that model, right? And the more that we talked and the more that you said things and I was oh my God, same. And vice versa, was there's something here. And it clicked for me finally that the clients I work with are not other than me. They're mm-hmm. me. Right? Totally. They're me, they're you, they're all of us. We all have this bucket of fears and this list of expectations and things that we think we should be. And at the end of the day, we all are actually human. And realizing and acknowledging that and being willing to live in that and being willing to stand up either in front of people or on, in text on LinkedIn or Instagram or somewhere else and say I'm afraid of failing. I'm also afraid of succeeding. I'm also afraid of disappointing other people. I'm also afraid of disappointing myself. I'm also afraid that nobody actually thinks I know what I'm doing. Right. And then having other people say, oh my gosh, I've been thinking that for all this time. Thank you for bringing that out. That you and I then realize there's actually something here.
Yeah. Lauren, I think there's two things. It's that, and it's also this idea that I can have these experiences and these feelings, and it doesn't make me a bad leader. It doesn't mean that I'm not worthy to be in the position that I'm in, right? Because I have fear, because I sometimes struggle with people pleasing, because I sometimes get nervous when I speak in front of people. That doesn't discount what I bring to the table. That doesn't mean that I'm not exactly where I should be. And I think that's the conversation that has been so powerful to me of accepting what is in the world or what is in my life, kind of my own proclivities or my weaknesses or my strengths. It doesn't make me better or worse than anyone else. It just is. And it's my kind of journey to walk through. And I think when we started talking like that, it normalized it. It gave me access to be even more vulnerable. It gave me access to be more accepting and kind to myself, instead of that negative self-talk, that kind of spiral when you have an experience that you don't like, an internal experience in a meeting or with a colleague or your relationship to work in some way. I really think that it's just so powerful to like acknowledge it and like put it to the side and keep on showing up fully.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, for me, and I think for you too, we both were looking for something like this. We both were looking for some kind of podcast or book or something that wasn't about statistics show or studies have found, or, this is how management works in the world, or here's some training on how to be a good manager or how to find a job, or, whatever it is, but really talking about like what it's actually like, what's scary, what can be amazing about it, and a little bit of how we found ourselves, how our clients have found themselves, and made different choices to live awesome lives instead of feeling always like we're reacting to what's coming at us. We've got a bunch of comments coming in, and I almost skimmed over them, and so I don't want to do that. So we've got Amanda saying, I'm learning more and more that the world needs me to show up exactly as I am. What a gift to get to be myself all the time. And Amanda, you're such an awesome example of someone who like hopped on LinkedIn to just interact and build a network with this value add of how to journal. And then you realized like, oh, this is the whole thing. This is something that's special about me that I can offer to other people. And it was because you just came in as you saying like, hey, here's a thing I know, and a bunch of things I think about. So powerful how you've shown up in the world. And then Tendani, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
I'm here because I followed your posts about self-improvement, being authentic and being comfortable being different. I hope to learn more. I'm legit struggling self-imposed pressure while trying to find balance and staying relevant in we ran out of room, various environments I live in. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I think the point that Tendani makes is so important, that it's really self-imposed, right? Yeah. Often in my life, I find it's my own expectations. I am my own worst enemy, because I create these self-imposed pressures, expectations. No one is saying that of me, maybe, but I think it's kind of what I hope to do about this idea of being human is to talk about these ways that we limit ourselves, right? As humans, we want to be safe. We want to be secure. We want to be protected. And as Lauren and I often talk about, everything we want is on the other side of our comfort zone. Everything that's worth living for is on the other side of our fears. And so let's just normalize the fact that we have those things, that we want this experience. Let's put it out there and create an environment for people to be okay with whatever it is that they're dealing with without judgment, so that they can cross that line of fear or comfort to live. Like, I just think of what it means to be alive. Aliveness. Like, I want that in my life. And I know that when I'm playing small, I'm leading a very boring life. It's a very insulated, protected, like how I feel like this is my posture, like, and so I'm grateful for like these comments, because they kind of draw out the reason we're doing this, Lauren.
Yeah, so true. We've got Dale saying, good point, Amanda. We only give effectively when we give the best of ourselves, not what we think is the best of others. Yeah, it's when we are our best selves, it's when we get comfortable with stretching ourselves. It's when we get more comfortable with saying things out loud that other people aren't willing or able to say, with advocating for ourselves, often to ourselves, right? You just said it, John, like we're our own worst critics, we're our own toughest client. And being able to give the best of ourselves without holding back, without getting tucked into our comfort zones, can be so powerful. Mm-hmm. And it's a work in progress. Like, we're talking about it a little bit like, oh, it's so easy, just be your whole self. But that's part of the crux of this podcast, is talking about why it's hard to be your whole self, why it's hard to be authentic and vulnerable and still feel like a powerful leader. And there's a balance in that. And Sophie says, vulnerability continues to be my favorite leadership style. I feel so much more comfortable with rawness and honesty. Bring me your fears. Yes, I love that. I think, it's so powerful to be vulnerable. And I think so many of us worry, and I know I did when I was like in the balancing act of impressing everybody all the time. I think we think if we're a little bit vulnerable, like everything will crack open and everybody will know. And I'm not exactly sure what everybody will know, but that's the feeling, is that like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to find out that I'm not all the things I want to be or say I am.
Yeah. And I think, when I think about the last several years, I think about how trust in institutions have really fallen. People are looking for people to follow. People are looking for hope. They're looking for leadership. And I think as leaders, and I think everyone is a leader. I don't sort of just limit that to like a C-suite, then your leader. Everyone in the world is a leader. You're influencing people. You are you're creating change. You're changing dynamics. And people are looking for realness, and they're having this experience. I mean, I can tell you, I got a coach during COVID because I was having a very hard time at work and personally and with all those things. I just needed some help, and I wasn't finding what I needed in the world. I needed to look inward to be able to like heal myself, to kind of sort of figure things out myself. And I think this idea of like, just bring me your fears, it just creates trust in being vulnerable. It creates connection, and it gives access. It gives access to other people to be leaders and to believe in themselves and to fully fulfill kind of their life's work or their mission.
Yeah. And it brings up such an important point about what leadership is and isn't. And I think when we become leaders, we expect ourselves to be fully capable and not need help. Mm-hmm. And many of the people who become leaders are really smart and clever, which I think are two different things, right? Like there's book smarts, and then there's like talking myself through situations and getting out of holes and elevating and all of that. And for me, I also, during COVID, I also got a coach. And for me, my hesitation was, I solve problems for a living. That's what I do. I am the leader who makes everything okay and smooths everything out for everybody. If I'm not smart enough or clever enough to fix my own problems, nobody can. Mm-hmm. I just had to find somebody who was also clever, and who, while I was talking myself in a tailspin out of being able to do something or be something or, be a different way about something, who would stop me and say, I heard you say, what's that about? Let's dig into that a little bit more, and really call me out on myself.
Yeah.
And that's what we need, is we need this community of leaders who are willing to say, like, I'm scared, something's not working, I'm afraid I'm going to fail, I don't want to speak up, I can't handle any more work, I can't handle going into work every day and pretending I'm okay when my home life is really hard. And so we're here to give that conversation a chance to happen.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. We've got some more comments coming in. Chris says, I just fail on camera now. It works. I love that about you, Chris. And I know you're into improv, and I love improv and have dabbled in a little bit myself. There's nothing like more fun than failing and having people like applaud it, right? And be into it with you. We've got a LinkedIn user saying, I agree that everyone is a leader. It's an important point that's often not acknowledged. Yeah. And Dale says, Lauren, you already have a name for this LinkedIn Live, the Authentic Self Podcast. Yeah. If only we didn't already have a name.
we have a name, Lauren. I love this name. Why don't you tell us about the name and how we came up with it or why we chose it?
Yes, absolutely. So the podcast is called I Could Talk to You All Day. And it came up that way because John and I went live together a couple of times, and we had our own side conversations and separate conversations. And we would get to the end of 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. And one of us would say like, I could talk to you all day about this. Right. And so when we decided to do this podcast, we thought let's pick topics that we could just talk about all the time. And we went right to this title of I Could Talk to You All Day. And then each episode will be about whatever the topic is. And for the in-betweens, we're going to publish twice a month. And for the in-between times, if something hot comes up, if we, get on there's something in the news or there's like a really interesting topic that comes up, we're going to pop in between and just do short snippets, short little podcasts. And we're going to call those I Only Have a Few Minutes. So it's punny, it's fun, it's impactful, and now we're also cartoons. If you've seen the graphic, we also have cartoon versions of us.
I never thought I'd be a cartoon, but I'm a cartoon.
Never thought I'd be a cartoon either.
I love it. I'm super pumped about the cartoons.
Yeah.
And look, I think Lauren and I, we've talked, we're like, who knows where this will go? I mean, I think we know where it's going to go. We like, endorsements and monetization and kind of, we want to be on stages talking to people about these kinds of things. But the fact that Lauren and I are just, I love having this conversation with her, and we could talk all day and have fun and laugh and be vulnerable and have like the full suite of emotions in this conversation. I just think is like really indicative of like, I think this is something special if I can say that out loud. I kind of do. I think it's like it's a thing. So
yeah, I think it's special also. We've got a prompt from Mark Reed, who's an excellent podcaster and has been a podcaster for a while, asking us the practical question that we really should answer, which is, when does the podcast kick off and where will we be able to find it? So we're going to drop episodes the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And we initially said we would start in June, but we got really excited. So we're going to start at the end of May. So the fourth Tuesday in May, you can find it on Anchor FM and on Spotify. We're going to expand to other platforms as we go, but in our excitement to just get started, that's where we are right now. And you can find us on Spotify now. You can find our trailer on Spotify. If you look up John's name or my name, or I Could Talk to You All Day, you will find the podcast, and you can click the plus sign so that you're subscribed to it. If you go to Anchor FM, you can rate it. And, obviously 5 stars, because what else could we possibly be but amazing? And would also love your feedback. I mean, I think that one of the things that we would really love from our community is to hear what's working, what's not working, what you want more of, what you want less of. We really want to use this as a platform to support people in their own personal transformation. And so hearing from our community is going to be really, really important throughout this process. Yeah. We want to be talking like to you and with you and not at you. Yeah. And so when you have topic ideas, like comment here, comment on our posts, follow us on Instagram. We're on I Could Talk to You All Day on Instagram. And John and I both also have Instagram accounts. John, yours is
John, the letter J, Spears.
Okay. And I am lauren.coach.fine as a trap. But yeah, we're going to be talking there. We're going to be talking here on LinkedIn. And we'll drop episodes at least twice a month. And we're here for all the feedback. Yeah. So John, I would love to, we talked about this a little bit because we both talked about each of us was a little bit of our aha that we're not, the only ones. But like, when did you actually realize you were not alone? That you weren't the only one who had these weird feelings about you're not doing leadership right?
I mean, I think instinctively, I kind of always knew right there. Even while I felt super lonely and sort of separate from, I kind of knew there are like billions of people in the world. I cannot be the only one. But it wasn't until I got some courage and I started talking out loud about what I was experiencing. First, very like timidly, and then kind of really boldly of saying, hey, this is my experience. And I think that is when I was able to really connect with other people, connect with you, Lauren, connect with others to say, gosh, I'm not the only one. Because I was sharing my experience. And even though I'd have what Brene Brown would call a vulnerability hangover afterwards, where it'd be like, did I share too much? Was that good? But people would resonate with that experience and then say, yes, I totally know what you mean. I feel it, but it looks like this in my life. And when we created space for those conversations, it was both really, really encouraging and a normalizing of our experiences to say, like, these things don't define you. They don't say anything about who you actually are and the impact that you have in the world.
Yeah, I love that. So my first introduction to not being alone was when I joined a small group of HR people at the very beginning of the pandemic. And it was a group that was built for HR departments of one to just connect over the pandemic and like how crazy it was and what are we even supposed to do. And in that group of people, we all were working too much. We all were feeling like we were guessing all the time. We all had imposter syndrome. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is universal. And then I had more conversations. And for me, the real aha was when you and I started talking and we got super open with each other about all the things. And then I started getting more open with other people. And there was just so much of like camaraderie and what I also realized was the more vulnerable I was willing to be, the more vulnerable my clients are willing to be.
Yeah.
The more vulnerable my community is willing to be. You know, if I post something about job searching on LinkedIn, people are like, hey, cool post. If I post something about the time that I failed at something or the time that I got really scared or the time that my boss hated me and told other people he hated me, my comments go crazy.
Yeah.
Because people relate to it.
And I think not only in the coaching work that we do, but also as leaders in organizations, if we are closed and not open to sharing parts of our lives, what does that say about the culture and the community that you're creating in your work? Whereas if you're open and you're sharing, it gives people access to that. It gives people permission. It says that it's okay to be authentic. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say, you know what? I don't know the answer here. Help me out. It's okay to say, I'm having a really hard day. I need to take a break and take some mental health time and go, right? And if we as leaders are always in that sort of executive presence, performative, always on, always batteries charged 100%, it oftentimes, I don't want to generalize it, but it oftentimes doesn't give people access to be vulnerable in the workplace or to be authentic or to be real and honest in those spaces.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to set an example by being human.
Right.
Right. Which is like, we forget as leaders, we forget that we're allowed to be human. We're allowed to be vulnerable. We're allowed to need an afternoon off or a week off or, you know, whatever, or support or help me fix this. I don't know how to fix this. Being willing to say, I don't know, being willing to say, I'm nervous about this, or I don't feel comfortable. That's executive presence. Right. And you and I are going to talk about executive presence a bunch on the podcast, but executive presence isn't like hands folded on the desk in front of you with a perfect tie and, you know, looking and acting in a certain way. It's like being a human and also still being able to lead.
Mm-hmm.
We've got lots more comments coming in.
We have some good comments here, I think.
Mm-hmm. Coaching in this way is so valuable for keeping mindsets refreshed. Thank you for creating this space. Thank you. Mark is asking, will you be having guests? So great question. You're asking all the right podcast questions, Mark. Keep them coming. We are going to start by not having guests, actually. Our priority is to have these conversations and to answer your questions and to bring up your topics. And so we're going to start by not having guests. See how that goes.
I love this comment.
I love this comment too. I'm so glad we're getting to it now. Sophie says a vulnerability hangover combined with an actual hangover, officially the worst of all hangovers, right? And isn't it a cycle? You get like immediate vulnerability hangover and you're like, I'm going to just relieve this situation a little bit with a drink or three. And then you wake up in the morning with both hangovers. Yeah. Amazing. Yes. And Clearly we're getting a kick out of that.
I would love, Lauren, we talked a little bit about the kinds of topics that we want to talk about, but I'd love to hear from folks who are participating. What kinds of issues, what kind of topics would you want to hear on a podcast that you're not hearing elsewhere, or that you'd want to hear a different spin on? Like Lauren said earlier, we looked all over the internet for a podcast like this, and we found that a lot of the leadership podcasts were kind of research driven, or they were data, or they were sort of trends, and didn't really deal with the fact that we are leaders, we're people having a human experience, and we are humans first. And being okay with that experience is going to make us more effective in every role that we have in our lives, particularly that of a leader. And so I'd love to hear from folks around what topics and issues they would like to hear us talk about.
Yes. Awesome. I'm so glad you said that, John. So yeah, put in the comments if you know of topics that you want, and you can get as specific or general as you want to. We've talked about vulnerability, authenticity, imposter syndrome, fear, failure, asking for help, needing time off. Like those
Setting
are all
boundaries.
Yeah.
Taking care of ourselves.
And
prioritization.
if you have a topic that you want us to talk about and you don't want to share it publicly, right? If your thing is like, well, I am terrified of being found out that I don't know how to build a project design, and I do it all the time, and every time I feel like I'm guessing, send us a DM. Either one of us, send us a DM. You can also email us at iCouldTalkToYouAllDay@gmail.com. You can also hop into our DMs on Instagram. I Could Talk to You All Day is the Instagram handle also. So we're around, right? And there's some stuff that like I wouldn't have been willing to say out loud a couple of years ago that now I'm happy to talk about on the podcast, right? Because I've done the work to get myself more comfortable with that kind of stuff. But if I were watching this 3-4 years ago and I was asked for topics, I'd probably be DMing. I'd probably be saying like, I don't actually feel like a leader, and they keep putting me in charge of stuff, and I don't know how to cope with that.
These comments are making me laugh.
I know. Mark says I could talk about potatoes all day.
Can I tell you my favorite new kind of potato? And it's like a smashed potato where you like boil them and then you smash them and you like put them in like lots of butter and oil and bake them and like put some chives and Parmesan cheese or something. And they get all crispy and like really crispy on the outside and kind of really tender on the inside. That's my favorite type of potato. So yes, we will talk about potatoes. Chris.
Oh, John does.
Thank you.
Yeah, very impressive hair. And Chris has an amazing beard.
Chris, you do have an amazing beard.
Yeah.
My hair, your beard, like
unstoppable.
Unstoppable. In what world would it be unstoppable? Like what would be our like? Is that a superpower? Like hair and beard? What would it do for us?
That's a great question. What would it do for you?
You're good at this.
To really think about. Yeah. Oh, John, I'm so excited about this. I don't know if I should be saying that like here with everybody, but before we came on, John and I were texting each other like, I just listened to the trailer again. We're so excited about this. If you haven't listened to the trailer, go to Spotify and listen to the trailer.
I mean, look, can I just, here's me being also real and authentic about this. You know, I'm really excited about doing something new. I'm 41. I've never done this before. I had to learn how to use GarageBand to mix the trailer. Like, it's exciting to be putting ourselves out there and not knowing what the next step is. Like, that's aliveness, I think. That's so exciting to me. And I'm just thrilled to be finding this new space and this new kind of conversation with someone like you, Lauren, that I resonate with, that I jive with, that like we just connect. And I get so much out of these conversations, and I feel so challenged and inspired and changed because of them, that like maybe this magic is for more than just us.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Amazing. We've got a couple of topic ideas coming in, which I love. Thank you so much. From Pod, how do you think being a leader needs to change in the hybrid remote working world? Oh, yeah, for sure. That's an amazing topic.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you take time off work when you are the leader of the organization and you're in your first 2 years and are proving yourself to your board, on the verge of burnout, but afraid of asking for time off? Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. That is a great topic. And the very short answer is you just do it and you set some boundaries. And I know that sounds easy coming from me sitting over here, being in a different situation, but I've been in that situation where I was afraid to take time off, where I was afraid of disappointing, of not proving myself. And the short answer for me, and this is a great topic, I could talk about this all day. This is a great topic, but the short answer is you're putting the pressure on yourself, and it's worth seeing if people will be disappointed if you take time off. But I'm willing to bet that they generally won't. Yeah. Thanks for that topic, though. It's a great one. Chris says, so excited to see y'all doing this together. Your excitement is contagious. Did I say y'all naturally? Because I'm a northerner. I don't know if I'm allowed
I love
to say
y'all. I can use y'all.
I love y'all also, but I'm
a
former New Yorker, and I feel a little bit like I get nervous when it comes out of my mouth.
Can I put you on the spot for a second, Lauren? So Lauren is a certified yoga instructor, a certified laughter yoga instructor.
I am.
And I think we got to do some laughter yoga. It is one of the best experiences I've had in my life. But Lauren, can you just sort of show the team how New York you are with by saying laughter yoga
with a New York accent?
Yeah.
So I did grow up with a New York accent and went to the University of Maryland for college. And when I got there, I noticed that there was like a look that people got on their faces when somebody came in with a New York accent, which was sort of like, and so I worked myself out of it, but I can bring it back. And so in a New York accent, it is laughter yoga. And if you are in New York and you're like, that sounds normal to me, then congratulations, you have a New York accent. But yes, there will be more to come from me on laughter yoga. And it's so much fun. I so enjoy it. And giving myself the freedom to have fun was like not something I did before I was willing to really be wholly myself. And so even thinking about the fact that I'm a laughter yoga leader, now I can't say without this. Now that I'm a laughter yoga leader, I also sound like I've been smoking when I use my New York accent.
Laughter yoga.
Anyway, more to come on laughter yoga, but thanks for the call out to that. We've got some more stuff coming in. I'd love an episode for people at my level who think leadership roles are not for me. How do we build confidence? Oh, confidence is such a big one. It's the crux of everything in our own abilities to lead and progress. What a great topic.
That's a great one, Sophie. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we've got another from Jennifer podcast on owning your opinion. I encourage people to join in conversations, especially on LinkedIn, but I'm being told people are afraid of saying what they really think owing to cancel culture. Is this something you've heard? And this goes on. How can you be authentic when digital is so scary for some people these days? Oh, great topic. Mm-hmm. Such a great topic. Yeah. It's like, where does the line get drawn for authenticity, if at all? And Julie's here with us. Hey, Julie. Thanks for joining. And then we've got another idea here. Whoops. I think that one just came up twice. That's fun. Restream. Thanks for the double show. And Chris said, rolled right off your tongue. Laughter yoga rolls right off my tongue. I can go back into the New York accent anytime.
I think he was referring to y'all, actually.
Oh, y'all. That could be. Yeah. Well, thanks. Looks like I can be from anywhere I want to. I'll take it. Amazing. Well, John, I'm so excited to be working with you on this. It doesn't even feel like work. I'm just like, every time we talk about it, we get more and more excited. please keep sending us topic ideas. We are here for that. We are so excited to be in conversation with leaders and emerging leaders and executive leaders and people who might want to be leaders someday and people who don't think they're leaders but actually are leaders and will realize that they're leaders when they hear our conversations.
And reluctant leaders.
Leaders. Yeah. So if you have questions, if you have topics, keep coming at us. Come at us in the comments, come at us in DM. Link to us on Instagram at I Could Talk to You All Day. Send us emails at I Could Talk to You All Day @gmail.com. What else should people know, John?
People should also go to Spotify or Anchor FM, click the subscribe or the bell, download it, share it. Would love for people in your networks to know about what we're trying to do, and be on the lookout for our first podcast in just a few weeks.
Yes. Amazing. We've got a congratulations over here from Sophie.
Thanks, Sophie.
Very excited for you in this new venture. Thank you so much. We are so excited. And we're so excited to build community in this way and just really get real with everybody. And thank you for being here, for supporting us today, for supporting the podcast without it even having come out yet. And we're so looking forward to being with you in it. And Tandani says, this is exciting. Thank you both and congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks,
thank you. John, I could talk to you all day, but
I can talk to you all day.
Gotta get out of here.
All right. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.